Have you ever felt a quiet discomfort in your chest? A sense that something was deeply off, but you couldn't quite name it? As if your choices weren't entirely your own, as if someone, somewhere, was pulling strings behind the curtain of your mind. Maybe you've stayed in conversations you should have walked away from, agreed to things that drained you, or trusted smiles that later revealed masks. What you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create. Buddha. But what if your thoughts were never fully yours to begin with? In this video, we're diving into the subtle, shadowy world of emotional manipulation and how Buddhist clarity can help you break free. Do you really know who's in control? Or are you simply reacting, thinking it's your will? Stay with me, because at the end, I'll reveal a bonus lesson that could shift how you move through every relationship. And if you take one thing from this video, take this. Freedom begins the moment you question the voice inside your head. Number 1, build a strong identity. Have you ever felt like you were living someone else's life? Like every decision, every reaction, every goal wasn't really yours? That quiet voice inside you, the one that used to guide you, suddenly drowned out by opinions, guilt, or the fear of being alone. That's not just confusion, that's self-abandonment. And that's how manipulation begins, not with their power, but with your absence. There's a Buddhist saying, "Nothing can harm you as much as your own unguarded mind." Manipulators don't need to control you if you've already surrendered your sense of self. Think about it. When you don't know who you are, praise becomes your drug, guilt your prison, and rejection your destruction. You become a puppet, strings held by those who merely learned how to pull the right emotions. But here's a truth that might just save you. Be the mountain, not the weather. The mountain does not tremble when storms rage. It does not chase clouds or beg the sky to be clear. It simply is. Still, grounded, unmoved. Your identity must be that mountain. Because when you are firm in your values, when you know who you are without applause or acceptance, no one can twist you into becoming what suits them. In Buddhist practice, clarity of self is not ego, it is awakening. The mind that does not wander is the mind that does not fall. So ask yourself, are you being shaped by your truth or someone else's expectations? Whose voice is louder, yours or the one you've been trained to please? To break free, start here. Journal your boundaries. Not just what you want, but what you won't allow. Define who you are not, just as fiercely as who you are. Take time in solitude. Not scrolling, not searching, just sitting. In silence, truth speaks. Next, clarify your values. What do you stand for when no one's clapping? If approval were taken from you forever, would you still know who you are? Manipulation only works on minds that are starved of self-awareness. When you seek constant validation, it becomes a leash they tug. But when you no longer need their yes to feel enough, their power over you dies instantly. That's not detachment, that's wisdom. A man once asked the Buddha, "How do I not be shaken by the world?" The Buddha replied, "Let the world shake. You remain still." That's your practice, not avoidance, not rebellion, but unshakable clarity. This isn't just about avoiding manipulators. It's about reclaiming your life. Because the stronger your identity, the less you need to defend it. You stop reacting, start choosing. You stop chasing, start becoming. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, sit with yourself for 10 minutes a day. No phone, no mask, just you. Ask, who am I without their opinion? Let the answers rise. Because in the end, the most powerful person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who cannot be moved. A mind anchored in truth cannot be manipulated by lies. Be that mountain. Let the storms come and stay rooted. 2. Practice emotional self-control. Have you ever said something in anger and regretted it the moment it left your mouth? Have you ever felt like someone was pushing your buttons and you handed them the remote? Emotional manipulation doesn't start with their words. It starts with your reaction. The moment you become predictable in your emotions, you become controllable. And that's exactly where they get you. Buddhism teaches, rule your mind or it will rule you. And most people don't realize they're not being ruled by others. They're being ruled by their own unexamined reactions. The people who manipulate you don't need to outsmart you. They just need to agitate the parts of you that you haven't made peace with. Your fear of rejection, your craving for approval, your hunger to be understood. They poke and you explode. They withdraw and you chase. They guilt trip you and you surrender. But what if you didn't react? Be the silent flame that burns without smoke. The flame gives warmth, gives light, but doesn't flicker when the wind blows. It burns steady, quiet, purposeful. That is emotional mastery. When you become aware of your emotions without being consumed by them, manipulation dies on arrival. Because no one can play a game with someone who refuses to play back. So the next time you feel triggered, pause. That pause is your superpower. In that space between stimulus and response lies freedom. Breathe in. Breathe out. Ask yourself, is this emotion real? Or is it being provoked? Are you reacting to truth or to someone else's script? You must train your mind daily, the way a warrior trains with his sword. Meditation isn't about escaping life. It's about preparing for it. Sit in silence for 5 to 10 minutes a day, not to feel peaceful, but to become unshakable. In that silence, you learn how to observe your thoughts, not become them. You stop being dragged by every emotion and instead begin to watch them rise and fall like clouds in the sky. And when someone tries to provoke you, whether it's a toxic ex, a manipulative boss, or the silent war of expectations from society, you'll smile. Not with arrogance, but with awareness. Because now you see it. You no longer dance to their tune. You no longer play the role they've written for you. Here's the test. Do your emotions serve your clarity or cloud it? Who really controls your life, your triggers or your awareness? The answer determines whether you'll live in reaction or in power. Emotional self-control isn't about suppression. It's about transformation. When you master your inner world, the outer world loses its grip. You start responding, not reacting. You become light without heat, power without noise, flame without smoke. The strongest person in the room is the one who can remain still while everyone else burns. Be that person. Don't give them the remote. Keep it in your hands. Observe, breathe, rise. 3. Take full control of your mind. Have you ever caught yourself overthinking a conversation long after it ended, replaying every word as if your worth depended on it? Or chasing someone's approval, not because it felt right, but because your mind had convinced you it was survival? That's not you thinking, that's conditioning thinking for you. And it's the very crack through which manipulation enters. Manipulation doesn't always roar in. Sometimes it whispers through thoughts that aren't even yours. Buddha said, "What you think, you become." But what if most of your thoughts were inherited, not chosen? What if your beliefs were shaped by fears passed down, or by approval systems created to control you? The truth is, most people don't think. They react to thoughts planted by someone else. Guilt, fear, the need to be liked. These are not truths. These are traps. Be the archer who aims within. The mind is both your bow and your arrow. If left wild, it will misfire, lashing out at the wrong people, chasing illusions, believing lies. But when trained, it can pierce through the illusion of manipulation with quiet precision. You don't defeat manipulation by fighting it, you outgrow the space where it thrives, an untrained, unconscious mind. So start by identifying the invaders in your mental landscape. Notice the thoughts that pull you to apologize when you've done nothing wrong. The fear that silences you in rooms where you should speak. The craving for approval that makes you betray your own values. These aren't just emotions, they're systems of control. And awareness is your escape. Practice daily mental purification. That's not a lofty concept, it's a practical, powerful discipline. Begin each day with 10 minutes of mindfulness. Sit, breathe. Watch your thoughts without becoming them. Journal the patterns that repeat. Ask, is this thought mine, or was it planted in me by fear, rejection, or the need to belong? Strip it down. Refuse to carry mental burdens that weren't planted by truth. Manipulation only works when your mind is not yours. But when you reclaim it, truly own your attention, your focus, your internal world, external control shatters. You stop reacting to guilt. You see through emotional bait. You become unshakable, not because you're cold, but because you're clear. What mind habits allow manipulation to slip in silently? Is it your need to be needed? Your fear of conflict? Your silence in the face of injustice? These are not flaws, they're untrained habits. And habits can be broken, replaced, transformed. Buddhism doesn't teach escape, it teaches mastery. To take full control of your mind is not arrogance, it's liberation. Because when your thoughts are clean, your decisions are clean. When your inner world is yours, no one else gets to script your life. So here's the invitation. Reclaim your mind. Audit your thoughts. Sharpen your aim. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more clarity, more self-mastery, more people who know where their arrow is pointing and why. When the mind is mastered, the manipulator disappears. Train the bow, own the arrow. Aim inward, then watch your life align. 4. Sometimes stepping away is necessary. Have you ever stayed somewhere your soul already left? A relationship, a job, a friendship, clinging to it not because it nourished you, but because letting go felt like failure? But what if staying? That is the real failure. Buddhism teaches us that peace isn't something you chase. It's something you return to once you stop holding on to what poisons you. And sometimes that means stepping away, even when it hurts. Let go of what poisons your peace, not after it's destroyed you, but the moment you see it for what it is. Manipulation thrives in environments where you constantly second-guess yourself, where you're taught to tolerate disrespect in the name of love, or to overextend in the name of loyalty. But what if strength looked like walking away before they break you? Be the lotus that blooms by letting go of the mud. The lotus doesn't bloom by clinging to the filth beneath it. It rises through it, leaves it behind, and opens only in the presence of light. That's you. You cannot heal in the same place that wounded you. And no, you don't owe anyone your continued suffering just to appear loyal. Recognize toxic energy early. Don't explain it away. Don't turn it into a project you're trying to fix. Your intuition is not a flaw, it's your compass. And when it whispers, "This is draining me," listen. You don't need a dramatic exit. Sometimes, silence is the loudest boundary. Walk away without anger, without defense. Because when respect is absent, explanation becomes begging. Ask yourself, are you holding on to pain out of habit or healing? So many people stay in chaos because peace feels unfamiliar, because they've mistaken guilt for love. But here's the truth. Real love does not manipulate, diminish, or exhaust. Real connection doesn't demand your silence in order to survive. It celebrates your growth, not resents it. And sometimes the hardest part isn't letting go. It's letting go of who you had to become in order to stay. The version of you that tolerated what should have been non-negotiable. But that version isn't your truth. It was your survival. Now it's time to bloom beyond it. Prioritize environments that honor your healing, that don't drain your spirit just to keep you compliant. Your peace isn't selfish, it's sacred. And the moment you stop defending your right to have it, your life begins to shift. Ask yourself, what are you afraid to leave behind, and why? What narrative are you still clinging to? That you're not enough alone, that starting over means failure, that their approval is worth your erosion. These aren't beliefs, these are chains. The Buddha once said, "You only lose what you cling to." Sometimes the path to inner freedom begins with a step back, not forward. So step back, step out, step away. You don't need closure from chaos, just distance. Be the lotus, let the mud go, rise to the surface, and bloom where peace can find you. 5. Think strategically, not emotionally. Have you ever said yes just to avoid guilt, only to regret it later in silence? Or lashed out in anger, only to feel like you handed your power away? In a world that constantly pulls at your emotions, the easiest way to be controlled is to keep reacting. Because when you react, you reveal your code. But when you pause, observe, and plan, you become unreadable and therefore unshakable. Buddhism teaches us to understand everything is to forgive everything, but not to tolerate it. Forgiveness clears your heart. Strategy protects it. Manipulators don't attack your strength. They exploit your blind spots. They push buttons, not because they're smart, but because they've studied what triggers you. The question is, are you a pawn in their game? Or the quiet player with the long view? Be the chess player, not the pawn. The pawn moves emotionally, reacting to what's in front of it. But the master sees 10 moves ahead. They observe patterns, not moments. Because once you understand someone's pattern, you no longer need to argue with their behavior. You simply outgrow it. Start by studying the cycle. Does this person repeat the same story? Kindness, control, chaos, apology, then back again? Do they only reach out when they need something? Are they weaponizing guilt to keep you small? These aren't random, they're rehearsed plays, and every playbook has a counter-strategy. When you feel emotionally pulled, don't respond. Pause, breathe, recenter, redirect your energy inward. Ask yourself, am I reacting out of feeling or acting out of knowing? Emotion gives away your power. Strategy reclaims it. It's not about being cold, it's about being clear. Begin to plan your responses like a silent game of chess. Think, what's the cost of this move? What does this choice teach them about how to treat me? What energy am I reinforcing with this reply? The goal isn't to win over them, it's to win back your inner stillness. The Buddha never said to suppress your emotions, but he did teach us to observe them, to not become them. Feelings are real, but they aren't facts. They're visitors. And if you build your life reacting to each one, you'll forever live in someone else's game. So take your power back, not with a scream, but with strategy. Don't let them see what moves you. Let them wonder how you stay so grounded while they try to provoke you. Let them exhaust themselves trying to control what they can't even read anymore. Who's directing the board? Your strategy or their manipulation? Because once you start thinking long-term, once you realize not every emotion deserves a stage, you become untouchable, not because you hide, but because you see clearly. When emotion clouds the mind, the pawn falls. When clarity returns, the master rises. Be the master, watch the board, and never forget, silence, strategy, and self-awareness are the most powerful moves you'll ever make. 6. Reclaim the power of silence. Have you ever watched someone unravel just because you chose not to respond? It's powerful, because silence unsettles those who rely on your reaction to validate their control. Most people speak to be heard, but the wise stay silent to see. And that's where your power begins, not in louder words, but in quieter understanding. Buddhism reminds us, silence is the sleep that nourishes wisdom. In a noisy world, stillness isn't just rare, it's revolutionary. Be the still lake that reflects but doesn't absorb. The lake doesn't chase the clouds, it reflects them, watches them pass, then returns to stillness. That's the kind of silence you must reclaim, not passive, not suppressed, but deep. Manipulators thrive on noise. They prod, provoke, push, because noise gives them feedback. But when you respond with stillness, when you don't give them the emotional fuel they crave, they're left facing their own reflection. And that reflection often disturbs them more than anything you could have said. Practice the art of non-response, not to avoid conflict, but to reclaim your space. When someone throws bait, let it fall. Watch how their mask begins to slip when your silence holds the mirror. True manipulation loses its grip when you stop performing the role they expect. They expect the defensive reply. They expect you to chase the closure. They expect you to fight to be understood. But what if you didn't? What if silence was your answer and peace was your reward? Ask yourself, are you using silence to reflect or to avoid truth? There's a difference. True silence is conscious. It's the pause between thought and reaction, the breath between stimulus and response. It gives you space to see clearly. It's not hiding, it's holding. Holding your power, your truth, your clarity. When someone tries to control you through guilt, accusations, or emotional bait, take a breath and ask, is this worth my peace? Is this truth or manipulation wearing the mask of concern? Then choose stillness. Silence isn't absence, it's presence without panic. It's the voice that says, I don't owe you my energy just because you're loud. Speak only when you've returned to your center, when your words come from clarity, not compulsion. Because words spoken from urgency often leave scars. But words spoken from calm, those heal, those lead, those land with truth. What if your silence could speak louder than their noise? It can. It already does. Every time you don't explain yourself to someone who never listened. Every time you walk away instead of arguing to be right. Every time you let someone else's storm pass without dragging you in. Let your silence say, you don't control me, you don't define me, you don't disturb me. In the end, the stillest waters hold the greatest depth. And when you become that stillness, manipulation can no longer reach you. The one who masters silence masters their reality. Be the lake, reflect clearly, hold steady, and let the world reveal itself while you remain unmoved. 7. Detach from outcome and control. Have you ever noticed how power shifts the moment you stop needing something from someone? That's the secret manipulators don't want you to know. They only control you when you crave something they can offer or threaten to take away. Approval, love, closure, status. But what if you didn't need it? What if you became like the cloud, free to move, untouched by grasping hands, drifting with peace instead of pressure? Buddhism teaches attachment is the root of suffering. And it's also the root of manipulation. We're taught to chase outcomes. We invest in relationships, careers, and people with the belief that we must get something back. But the moment our peace depends on that outcome, we've handed over control. When someone knows you fear rejection, they can weaponize silence. When they know you need validation, they offer it with strings. This is how people become puppets without ever seeing the strings. You become manipulated not by force, but by your own need. Think about it. Would they still have power if you desired nothing from them? True freedom isn't walking away. It's no longer being emotionally tied. It's detaching from needing a reaction, an explanation, a resolution. When you let go of needing to be liked, you start saying what you actually mean. When you stop craving their understanding, your truth becomes effortless. Detachment isn't indifference, it's clarity. You stop playing a rigged game and start walking your own path. Are you free from needing their reaction or addicted to it? That's the real question. The likes, the replies, the validation. It's addictive. And addiction is the easiest state to manipulate. One compliment and your day is made. One insult and your peace is gone. But the cloud doesn't wait for the sky's permission to move. It doesn't cling to the storm or beg for the sun. It just moves with grace and without attachment. Practice doing without needing a return. Give without clinging. Speak without hoping to be praised. Love without demanding love back. That's where your strength is, because when nothing outside you defines you, no one can use those things against you. Rejection loses its sting. Approval loses its grip. Manipulators lose their weapon. Every time you pause and choose peace over the need to be right, you're detaching. Every time you give your best and let go of the outcome, you're rising. Not above others, but above illusion. The illusion that you need to be accepted to be worthy. The illusion that someone else's reaction defines your truth. Let that go. Let it all go. You can't control how others see you, but you can stop needing them to see you a certain way. And that's where the real power lives, in the freedom to move like the cloud, light, clear, and untouched. So the next time someone tries to bait you with guilt or withhold to make you chase, ask yourself, is this cloud meant to stay still or drift into peace? The moment you release control, you reclaim yourself. 8. Master the art of non-reaction. Someone once insulted a monk in silence for hours. The monk just smiled. When the accuser finally screamed, "Why won't you react?" The monk replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you don't accept it, to whom does it belong?" That's the power of non-reaction. To master your life, you must first master the space between stimulus and response. In that gap lies your freedom. Manipulators don't need chains. They use your reactions to control you. If they can push your buttons, they own your peace. But what if you became like bamboo, flexible under pressure, but never broken? We live in a world that rewards instant emotion. Rage gets likes. Reaction gets attention. But it also gets you trapped. In the moment of anger, we are not wise. We become predictable. Manipulators thrive on that predictability. They know exactly what word to use, what silence to keep, what expression to make to pull you into their storm. And if you respond without thinking, you give them control of your emotional thermostat. But here's the truth. Reacting is a gift. Don't give it for free. Think about it. Are your reactions helping you or handing them power? Every time you explode, defend, or chase, you confirm that your center is outside of you. And once someone knows that, they'll move your world at will. But the bamboo doesn't resist the wind. It sways. It moves, but never loses its center. It absorbs the moment, but stays rooted in peace. Delaying your response isn't weakness, it's mastery. When emotion spikes, breathe, don't bite. Let the provocation pass like traffic on a busy street. You don't chase every car that honks, so why chase every insult, every manipulation, every mood someone throws at you? Let them pass. Let them burn out in the silence of your stillness. This is not about being passive. It's about choosing when to act with clarity, not compulsion. Strategic silence disarms manipulators because it reveals they don't control you. When you don't flinch, don't rush to justify, don't rush to react, they unravel. Their power was never real. It came from your untrained response. So ask yourself, what if you could observe everything but absorb nothing? What if you became the watcher of emotion, not the prisoner of it? Practice pausing. Just a few seconds of stillness can change your life. Before you answer that message, before you clap back at that comment, before you explain yourself to someone who's already decided not to understand, pause. Return to your breath. Return to your wisdom. Not all sounds deserve an echo. Not all situations require your energy. When you stop reacting, you start seeing. And in that vision lies peace, power, and clarity. Like bamboo, you can bend with life's storms, but never break. Because you no longer give away your reactions like loose change. You spend them with precision. Your peace is your power. Protect it by mastering the pause. 9. Understand the nature of illusion. A mask can smile, cry, plead, or flatter, but it's still a mask. The manipulator's greatest weapon isn't power, it's illusion. They don't force you to believe them. They invite you to deceive yourself. And once you buy into the role they play, the helpless victim, the flawless hero, the misunderstood soul, you start playing your part in their performance. All suffering begins from mistaken perception. If you can't see through the illusion, you become part of it. But Buddhism teaches, be the mirror, not the mask. The mirror reflects without attachment, distortion, or need. It sees what is, no more, no less. Every manipulator survives on projection. They hand you their wounds wrapped in compliments or guilt. They don't show you truth. They show you a script. And the moment you react blindly, you walk on stage without realizing it. You become the rescuer, the attacker, the pleaser, the one who keeps the drama going. But what if you paused, held up the mirror, and saw it for what it is, just a performance? Are you responding to truth or to an illusion they've crafted? Most people never ask. They see tears and assume innocence. They hear anger and assume authority. But manipulation doesn't always wear a villain's face. Often, it wears the face of need, charm, desperation, affection, crisis. It's all theater unless you learn to see clearly. The Buddhist path is not about suspicion, but awareness. Not cold detachment, but calm discernment. When someone speaks to you with urgency, emotion, or flattery, pause. Ask yourself, what role are they casting me into? What do they need me to believe? Not all suffering is manipulation, but all manipulation wears the mask of suffering. And if you mistake their chaos for your responsibility, you'll drown trying to save someone who built their ship to sink. Develop inner vision, the eye that sees beyond appearances. This means knowing your triggers, your need to be loved, to be good, to be needed, to be right. Manipulators don't manipulate you by force. They manipulate your story. They mirror what you long to see or what you fear is true. But the mirror, the real one, doesn't react to illusion. It just reflects. So practice holding space. Listen without absorbing. Watch without playing along. If someone's words trigger confusion, pressure, or guilt, ask, is this real, or just a role designed to make me move? If it needs constant convincing, it's probably not truth. If it collapses under your calm silence, it was never real strength. You don't need to fight illusion. You only need to see it. Because once the light of awareness shines through, the mask falls, the performance ends, and you return to yourself, clear, whole, and free. Let others play their roles. You stay in truth. Be the mirror that reflects, not the mask that reacts. 10. Strengthen your inner refuge. In the middle of a storm, the temple remains untouched. The winds rage, the rain pours, but inside, the temple stands firm. It's a place of peace, a place where no external chaos can shake the foundation. The same is true for you. When your peace is anchored within, no external force, no manipulator, no emotional upheaval, no external validation can uproot it. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. This simple yet profound teaching is the key to never being manipulated again. When your mind is a sanctuary, protected from the turbulence outside, no one can stir you, no one can sway you, no one can control you. It's not about controlling the storm. It's about knowing that you are the temple, and within you lies the peace that doesn't bend with the wind. To strengthen this inner refuge, you must cultivate daily practices that keep you centered: meditation, silence, and sacred routines. Every moment of quiet reflection is a brick added to the foundation of your inner temple. Each breath taken in meditation is an act of anchoring yourself deeper in the calm that is your true nature. What rituals return you to your center each day? Is it a quiet morning walk, a moment of stillness before sleep, or simply breathing in the present moment? These rituals are not luxuries, they are necessities for protecting your peace. When you establish this sanctuary inside, external chaos becomes powerless. The more you nurture this inner refuge, the less susceptible you become to the noise of the world. Manipulation thrives in environments where peace is fragile, where we seek approval or validation from the outside. But when your sense of self is anchored in a deep, unshakable peace, no amount of external pressure can make you bend. It's not about being impervious to challenges or conflicts, it's about how you respond to them. Your inner peace becomes your shield, your stronghold, allowing you to stand firm and unshaken no matter what the world throws your way. When a manipulator approaches, they test your peace. They push your buttons, create turmoil, and try to control your reactions. But when your peace is non-negotiable, you don't react, you observe. You don't need to engage with the storm. You don't need to prove yourself. Your peace is yours, and no one can take that away unless you give them permission. The more you cultivate your inner temple, the less room there is for manipulation, because the manipulator cannot find a place to hook their influence. They can't use your fear, your insecurity, or your need for validation against you if you have already cultivated a sense of worth that is independent of them. Is your peace protected or open to the winds of others? You have the power to choose. The world will continue to spin and storms will come, but your inner peace can remain untouched. You are the temple, you are the refuge. And when your peace is non-negotiable, nothing and no one can manipulate you again. 11. Recognize and walk away from power games. A fire doesn't waste time arguing with the rope that binds it. It simply burns through. In life, when people play power games, we often find ourselves caught in the struggle, trying to untangle the knots, fighting back against manipulation. But the true power lies not in engaging, but in walking away. The wise man lets go of all results, whether good or bad. When you realize that these power games are not worth your time, you stop participating. You stop trying to win in a game that is designed to drain your energy. Instead, you choose peace over conflict, clarity over confusion. In any situation where manipulation, control, or drama arises, remember this: you don't need to play the game. Manipulators want you to react, to defend, to justify, to prove something. But the strongest response is no response. The truth, when lived authentically, doesn't need to be corrected. It doesn't need to be forced or defended. Walk in such truth that lies expose themselves. You don't need to correct every false statement, every distortion. Let your own clarity be the light that shines so brightly that the darkness of manipulation can't survive in your presence. The more you walk in truth, the less power manipulation has over you. Lies have a way of crumbling when they're faced with unwavering authenticity. Protect your time, your energy, and your peace. Power games are time traps. Every minute you spend in a power struggle is a minute taken away from your own growth, your own peace, and your own purpose. So ask yourself, are you still trying to win a game that was never meant to be won? What are you trying to prove, and to whom? When you engage in these games, you're often only proving something to someone who doesn't value the truth of who you are. Let go of the need for validation. Let go of the desire to win in someone else's eyes. This is your life, your journey, and no one else's perception can define your worth. The fire that consumes the rope does so effortlessly. It doesn't argue, it doesn't fight, it simply burns through. Similarly, you don't need to waste your energy trying to prove anything to others. By choosing to disengage from power games, you take back control of your life. You move forward with intention, with clarity, and with peace. And when you stop participating in these games, you will begin to see how much more space and energy you have for what truly matters. Every time you walk away from these power struggles, you reclaim your energy and your peace. You are no longer a pawn in someone else's game. You are the master of your own life, free to choose the battles that truly matter. And the greatest battle you'll ever win is the one where you stop fighting and start living with authenticity, clarity, and peace. What are you still trying to prove, and why? The truth is, the only thing you need to prove is your own worth to yourself. Bonus lesson: live aligned, not approved. Imagine a compass, steadfast and unwavering, its needle always pointing true north, no matter how fiercely the winds blow. Now imagine a weather vane, constantly spinning, swaying with every breeze, changing its direction based on the weather. The compass stays grounded in its purpose. The weather vane is constantly at the mercy of external forces. You are the compass. When you live aligned to your inner truth, to your purpose, nothing and no one can manipulate you. But when you live for approval, when you bend with every shift of external opinion, you become like the weather vane, constantly swayed by the whims of others. Your work is to discover your world and then, with all your heart, give yourself to it. This quote reminds us that our true power lies in living authentically, in walking a path that is ours, not one shaped by the expectations or approval of others. When you stop seeking validation from the world around you, you stop being vulnerable to manipulation. Your value is no longer measured by someone else's applause. You no longer find yourself bending to fit into a mold that doesn't serve you. You are free to live according to your own truth. Living aligned doesn't mean living without struggle. In fact, when you walk a path that's truly yours, it will often be misunderstood by others. People may question your choices, challenge your beliefs, or try to convince you that you should be living differently. But in those moments, stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Their judgments have nothing to do with your truth. They are reflections of their own struggles, not yours. And when you stop trying to fit into their perception of who you should be, you reclaim your power. You become the compass, unwavering in your direction, no matter how much the world spins around you. The more you align with your own purpose, the less control others have over you. Manipulators thrive on uncertainty, on people who are unsure of their worth, who are constantly seeking approval from others. When you are aligned, when you are confident in your direction, you cannot be swayed. The less you need validation, the less others can manipulate you. Are you seeking truth or applause? Are you living your life based on what others think of you? Or are you living it based on your own beliefs and desires? This is the critical question that separates those who are manipulated from those who live freely. The truth is, the path of alignment often requires courage, the courage to walk forward even when no one is cheering you on. But the reward is far greater than any applause. Would you still walk your path if no one clapped for you? If you could live with peace, satisfaction, and authenticity without needing the external validation, would you choose that over the approval of others? When you stop seeking approval, you stop being manipulated. You become the compass of your life, grounded in your truth, unaffected by the distractions of others' opinions. This is the ultimate form of liberation. Quick summary of the principles. Build a strong identity. When you know who you are, no one can define you. A strong identity repels manipulation because it doesn't seek approval. Define your values and live by them unapologetically. A clear sense of self is your greatest armor. Practice emotional self-control. Emotional reactions are how manipulators gain control. Pause before responding, observe your feelings, and master your state. Inner calm is your power. Control it before someone else does. Mindfulness builds unshakable emotional strength. Take full control of your mind. A wandering mind is easily led. Train your thoughts to serve your truth, not someone else's agenda. Be mentally intentional, not reactive. Awareness turns your mind from a battlefield into a temple. Sometimes stepping away is necessary. Not every fight is worth your energy. Walking away is an act of wisdom, not weakness. Let go of people and situations that poison your peace. Freedom often begins with goodbye. Think strategically, not emotionally. Emotions can be exploited, strategy cannot. Respond with clarity, not instinct. Study patterns, protect your energy, and move intentionally. Be mindful of every step, and you'll never be a pawn in anyone's game. Reclaim the power of silence. Silence confuses manipulators and empowers you. When you don't react, you can see more clearly. Learn to listen more than you speak, and you'll hear everything. Power often lives in restraint. Detach from outcome and control. Neediness invites manipulation. When you let go of attachment, no one can control you. Live with intention, not expectation. Inner peace comes from detachment, not domination. Master the art of non-reaction. The ability to not react gives you ultimate control. Let others reveal themselves while you remain still. In your silence, they unravel. Observe, don't absorb. Understand the nature of illusion. People often manipulate through false appearances. See beyond the mask to the truth beneath. Discern illusion from authenticity, and you'll never be trapped by charm or deception again. Strengthen your inner refuge. When peace comes from within, it can't be disturbed by the outside world. Build daily habits that protect your inner calm. A still mind is a fortress no one can enter without permission. Recognize and walk away from power games. Manipulators play games to drain your time and energy. Don't compete. Exit. Refuse to participate in drama or control tactics. True power is found in disengaging with nonsense. Live aligned, not approved. Don't trade authenticity for approval. Stay true to your path, even if others disapprove. Real freedom comes when you stop needing validation. Your alignment is worth more than applause. In a world that constantly pulls you in different directions, your greatest rebellion is to know yourself deeply and live aligned with truth. Manipulation only works when you've forgotten your own power. These principles are not just protection, they are the foundation of a liberated mind. When you choose peace over pleasing, clarity over confusion, and purpose over approval, you stop being used and start truly living. True control doesn't come from dominating others. It comes from mastering yourself. The person who owns their thoughts, emotions, and boundaries is unshakable. Life becomes peaceful not because others change, but because you no longer depend on them to feel whole. Self-possession is the path to freedom. Zen teaches us that stillness is the highest form of strength. You don't need to raise your voice or prove your point when you're rooted in your center. The deeper you go within, the less you can be pulled from without. Peace is not passive, it is powerful. It is the calm eye in the storm of manipulation. Ask yourself this: am I truly living or just reacting? If your life feels out of control, it's time to pause, detach, and return to your own rhythm. You are not here to be used, twisted, or diminished. You are here to awaken, to rise in silence, in power, and in deep, unshakable presence. When you let go of who you are not, you return to the truth of who you are. Take control of your life. Protect your peace. Lead from within. If this touched your soul, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs this message, comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful life.